Great to see everyone on this Friday. Sorry, guys. We're going ladies first, plus the judge goes first. Anyway, what are you thinking here, Judge? This case, to me, especially after speaking with Alexee's defense attorney, they're gonna say it's the hospital's fault. The hospital. You're in a hospital. They know that she's pregnant. She goes to the bathroom. She's in labor. They gave her morphine. They're going to say that the hospital killed this baby.
And, you know, Vinny, I think that that's wholly expected. There is, just as you indicated, going to be a battle of the experts in this case. You're going to have the defense that essentially has the responsibility of convincing a single juror that they should at least not buy whatever the prosecutor's story is. Because remember, the prosecution has the burden of proof. They must prove beyond a reasonable doubt every essential element of the crimes charged, and I believe there are two, the murder and the tampering. And all the defense has to do, if anything, is to find one holdout. And they will no doubt rely on that argument, positioning or transitioning the responsibility to the hospital in an effort to achieve that, while the prosecution must convince every single juror that the defendant is in fact guilty. Now, what I will say is, just as the doctor said in the prior segment, there's something to be said for this marriage of, you know, criminal act and criminal mind. And there's going to be, I think, some considerable attention paid to the level and effort that was or allegedly taken to conceal the body of the baby.
I know what they're going to say there. She's in a panic. She's 19. Her mother's in the room. She's like, oh, all this is happening at once. How would you react, ladies and gentlemen, if you were 19 years old and you didn't know you were pregnant? All of a sudden you're giving birth and you don't know what to do. You just kind of, you know, I can hear it already. I know the way it's going to play. Let me do this, though. Take a listen. And Ben, I want you to listen closely to this, and I want your take on whether or not you think Alexee Trevizo in this video, this body cam video, seems sympathetic at all. Let's watch.
He came out and he didn't know.
Alexee, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
It was not crying or nothing.
I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
And nothing was crying. It came out with nothing.
Do you guys have, I'm the charge nurse here, do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months?
Nothing was crying.
Alexee, have you watched the news of the girls, that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail?
Nothing was crying.
What do you think, Ben?
Vinny, I think it is sympathetic, and I think she seems much younger than her 19 years.
Do you think it's enough that a jury would understand why someone in a hospital delivering a baby doesn't call out for help, and then somehow, I don't know what happened to the umbilical cord, I have no idea how that went down, but then puts the baby in the trash? Do you think sympathetic enough that they can overlook that part and give her a pass on the death of the child?
Well, these, as you pointed out, Vinny, these are unconscionable facts, but to Her Honor's point, she only needs to convince one juror. One sympathetic juror is really all she needs. So I think a lot will depend on how the evidence comes in.
Professor, what are your thoughts here?
My thoughts are the video is terribly important because it preserves her youth, right? By the time she gets to trial, she's going to be older. She's going to be a mature woman. Who knows how long it's going to take to get in front of a judge and jury. And so that does preserve that argument. I think it comes down to which do you believe, that she was a scared little girl and acted, who knows how we would act, or was it a cover-up, right? That's 90% of our solutions are, look at the cover-up, look at Al Capone, it was the taxes. we find some other way to prove that somebody was guilty, right? Evidence of guilt, running away from the scene of the crime, the cover-up. That's the whole case. And I agree with the judge. You know, if the jury is split, she wins. If the jury is split 11-1, she wins. You got to convince all 12 that she was hiding something because she knew what she did was wrong.
Ben, what are your thoughts about the hospital here?
That there was negligence on the part of the hospital, but and that may be enough to get her that one juror she needs.
Yeah, and Judge, when I spoke with her attorney, he was very specific. He said about 45 minutes before she makes that run to the bathroom, where she makes a delivery, the pregnancy results were on the computer at the nurse's station. And it wasn't clear whether or not it had been read or they knew or didn't know, but they did a pregnancy test on her. So the results are there 45 minutes before she runs to the bathroom to give birth. What does that mean? Is this going to be enough to kind of shift the burden of who's in charge of this situation? Is it the mother carrying the child? Is it the hospital caring for this young woman who's carrying a child?
I genuinely think that from a defense perspective, it's absolutely going to be the responsibility of the hospital. And that is no doubt going to be the consistent refrain throughout the trial, that the hospital was aware. They failed to make their patient aware. So there's that duty of responsibility to your patient that the hospital is going to have allegedly lapsed on. And as a result, it set in motion a series of events leading to the decision-making of an immature 19-year-old in a traumatic and heightened emotional state to make a snap decision, which some adults far more mature than that would have struggled to make perhaps an appropriate decision. Now, that's not to suggest that, that is a winning argument for all 12 jurors. But what I will say is that I can absolutely imagine and see the defense making a really firm argument to shift this responsibility squarely into the lap of the hospital. At the same time, you're going to have a prosecution that says, just as the professor said here, that the video evidence is really telltale evidence. It shows an individual in what seems like an emergency situation actually grabbing a part of their body seemingly to prevent some activity, and that as a result of whatever happened behind those doors or that door in that bathroom, what was the result of that was a deceased full-term baby that made that person responsible for that. And they're going to argue that she knew what she was doing and she acted accordingly, and therefore that marriage of that criminal act and criminal mind is made, and that we need not establish motive. We don't even have to. We'd love to know the why, and we may never know the why, but it's enough that the elements are proven. That's what I think.
I think they could argue the why is right in the hospital room. Her mother's right there. She doesn't want to admit to her mother that she was sleeping with her boyfriend. I think that's where they're going to go. We shall see. We're just at the beginning of